Does riding hurt my horse's back? That's the question I've been asked. And the short answer is that yes, it does. And the better answer is that no, it doesn't have to, with the right kind of riding. And even bigger than that, you can heal your horse's back while you are riding with the right kind of riding. That's a pretty big deal. Here's some photos of my warm blood Oliver to prove that statement. From this damaged body, and I'm going to talk some more about his case specifically in a minute, to this with the right kind of riding. There have been some fabulous studies done, some very good studies done, that have shown that the vast majority of riders are damaging their horses' backs while they're riding. It's a very sad fact. Some with slow deterioration over time, and some with damage visible quite quickly. But it doesn't have to be like that. On this video, I'm not only showing you the problem, I'm showing you a very simple solution. There are two main reasons for riding damaging a horse's back, and this is what I think these two studies have missed. Both of these reasons can be easily changed. Firstly, our riding position has to be stable enough to ride our horse with the physical connection and the sensitivity that we're able to bring to our horse when we're in a riding position that's perfect for us and for them. Secondly, and most important of all, our horse has to have their back elevated. They have to have their back lifted. And that's so that they can carry us with strength and ease. And a happy horse in their comfort zone and filled with a sense of well-being has their back elevated, they're in self-carriage with an elevated back and can carry us with ease and with strength. These two things, riders in a stable riding seat and a happy horse with an elevated back, have to go together for riding to be an activity that contributes to a horse's well-being. When I teach people this work, their horses' damaged backs actually start to heal right in front of our eyes sometimes. And we've seen that with my warm blood Oliver that I was talking about earlier. Here's a photo of his back when he arrived. Notice the sacroiliac joint sticking up out of place on the highest point of Oliver's hindquarters. You can't see the rest of the injury as clearly. There's other bones out of place behind the saddle as well. This is the most common injury that I see to a horse's back, and it's fixable with the right kind of riding and handling. And this picture, a few weeks later, is after his third ride and with some work from me around the routine of his life. And then here's a third photo that I took a few weeks ago, very happily covered in mud. This is Oliver's back after a year of excellent work releasing old stresses and tensions in all aspects of his life, and 7 months of good riding, which is building up the muscles in such a way that his muscles can hold the bones in place while he heals. Now, when I say a year, it doesn't need to take anywhere near that long. That's just, you know, with a tiny little bit of work here and there as my work schedule permitted. Although Oliver is not completely robust in this place yet, it's very close. He's improving all the time, thanks to Steve's excellent ridden work with. So thank you, Steve. On many occasions, Steve has dismounted and unsaddled, and we've stood there and just had our jaws dropping, looking at an improvement in Oliver's back that happened during the ride, sometimes happening while we were watching. I have lost count a long time ago of the number of horses who I have watched heal their backs under our very eyes while they were being ridden. Every time I see this happening, whoever it's happening with, it's a magical thing to watch. pause on that for a minute and absorb just how big a deal that is. A horse's back can actually heal while you are riding. Do you get how big that is? How wonderful that possibility is? This latest photo of Oliver's back shows you what progress can be made with simple techniques for releasing old stress, old trauma and tension from a horse's mind, body and spirit, and living a life, a whole life, filled with well-being. Not just the riding part, the whole life. And that is a major key to the ease and simplicity of this work. You can't just get on a horse and ride them to achieve this kind of healing and progress. Actually, that's not correct. You can, but by crikey, you need to be a very talented rider to do it just with riding alone. Unresolved stress and tension is cumulative. Each of them adds on to the next. So the stress or tension around feed time adds on to a tension around being saddled. Adds on to a tension around being caught or halted. Adds on to a tension around a flying change problem, or feeling claustrophobic in the stable, or a canter problem, or even the moment when a person first gets on their back. And all of these tensions add on to each other, and they mean that a horse is not able to lift their back up to carry you with strength and ease, or can mean that a horse is not lifting their back up to carry you with strength and ease. There's a whole heap of wonderful healing modalities out there to help your horse recover from the injuries caused by these stresses and tensions. But to fix this permanently takes a commitment to help your horse live their whole life with well-being. And it's helping Oliver to live his whole life filled with a sense of well-being that has produced this third photo. I've helped him to release old stress and tensions from his body in all kinds of areas of his life. We redid his float training together. He had a big accident before he came to me. We've worked on rugs, sticks, saddles, feet. Oh, crikey, the feet. He was seriously not good with his feet, and becoming relaxed about picking his feet up for trimming, that was a really big one for him. Grooming, that's been another major source of discomfort for Oliver. He actually disliked being groomed, and we had to, and are still getting all the way to the bottom of that one. Way back at the beginning, he had major stresses around being haltered. Even though he was quite easily catchable, there was still a lot of tension in there. He had even more tension around being handled in the halter, where he had no idea what lightness in the halter was supposed to look like. And all those stresses and tensions were physically reflected in his body, in that dreadfully damaged back and his very tight stuck shoulders and withered muscles in the hindquarters. On the riding side, we needed to help him find pleasure with a human on his back. And he'd been well ridden by a nice rider. Steve has been riding Oliver for 7 months now, and we videoed most of the work we've done, demonstrating the techniques for the camera and sharing the emotions of those breakthroughs. And at some point in the not too distant future, I'll release that footage. I have been seriously blessed with Steve's commitment and his lovely connection with Oliver. See, the studies that so many people are talking about have been done with the vast majority of people who are not riding properly and who are not riding happy horses with elevated backs. If I went round the internet looking at horse riding photos for an hour, I would be lucky to find one handful of people who were riding horses with elevated backs. And here's a neat little explanation of why an elevated back is so important. This is a ruler, not a horse's back, in case you hadn't noticed. But let's pretend this is a horse's back. Do you know, pictures that you see of horses actually show that much curve in a horse's back. That's how common it is for horses to have injured backs. This is a horse whose back is arched downwards. I call it a saggy back. Now look what happens when I put weight on that saggy back. It's very easily sagged even more. Now I'm going to put a diagram up on the screen that shows you the spiny processes of the horse's spine, that show how the flexion of that back further downwards with the weight actually has those little bones, getting closer and closer together until they're rubbing and adversely affecting muscles and nerves in ways that they were never designed to do. Now, let's look at it the way it should be. When a horse's back has a gentle upright curve in it, a gentle upright arch, when you put weight on it, I can put quite a lot of weight on it, and I'm still not able to squash those bones down. That is an elevated back. That is the way we want our horse's back to look when we're riding them, because that's healthy. Now, can you see? This is pure physics, you know, pure logical physics. And then strength. So, here's the biggest deal of all, and it's so flaming simple. A horse in their comfort zone is a horse who's filled with a sense of well-being. And a horse who's being ridden by a person who is filled with a sense of well-being, so that the feeling of well-being is contagious to each other. That's a horse who is in self-carriage, and that's a horse who has an elevated back. It's that simple. We humans can make things very complicated. You'll hear and read all kinds of ways for a skilled rider to help a horse find self-carriage, and they clearly work. But even inexperienced people can help their horse find self-carriage and an elevated back when they systematically help their horse to achieve every aspect of their lives and their riding in their comfort zone. And what a way to share our lives with our horses, hey? With their life filled with happiness and well-being, and us being filled with happiness and well-being as well. I haven't just given you the problem and part of the solution and then leave you swinging on the how to do it part. We have an interactive set of 81 audio and video lessons designed to help people of all levels, of all riding abilities, of all shapes and all sizes and all ages, to be able to help their horses and themselves to this level of well-being. And this is not remotely the only path. There are some great teachers out there and some great healing modalities, and some of them even combine the two, like I do. There's a great lot of good riding that will produce what kind and gentle riders are looking for, but this is the path that I know so well. We steadily work through every routine aspect of our horses' lives, increasing your practical application of your own natural strength and intuition, and increasing your skills so that you can help your horse to recover their mental, emotional and physical well-being. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about this program, is that you get to experience the wonder, those magical moments when your horse makes a breakthrough instead of the trainer experiencing them. And I know that fast track's not the only way to achieve this goal. I've done quite a lot of healing work myself, but please remember that you're going to need to do and repeat and keep on doing that healing work over and over again if your horse has any regular stress or tension in their lives, in any part of their lives, because of the cumulative nature of stress and tension. So pay attention to that, folks. As you move through your routine, with your horse and decide, you can decide even now, that you want to notice every single stress or tension and take steps to alleviate that for them. Or take steps to help them alleviate that stress and tension. For those of you who don't know me yet, the smaller Cameo program, 12 Days to a Better Riding Seat, will help you to know me and my work better, while at the same time addressing at least 2 of those well-being issues for both you and your horse. And it'll do that by creating a stability in your riding seat that enables gentle and kind communication with your whole body to happen with your horse. And like all my programs, it comes with a love this or get your money back guarantee from me. Mark, your host here at Horseconsious, and I have had a couple of warm discussions around the cost of this program, because it's a $200 program that I'm selling for $45, and he thinks I'm nuts. But there's method in my madness though, because what we're doing here is so revolutionary that I think you need to experience that effectiveness for yourself, especially when you don't know me, before you can look at a full program, no matter how life-changing, no matter how seriously life-changing that program is. So Mark's put the links to Cameo's 12 Days to a Better Riding Seat below the video here so that you can check it out for yourself. And I look forward to meeting you on one of my programs someday.